But in order to learn, we also must study. To study means to investigate. And we investigate by asking questions. So, to get to the root of a thing, or to get to the bottom of the thing, we must ask questions. Whether it is a question that you ask to yourself, or whether you ask someone else, we must do the research. We must do the digging to find out what it is that we want to know. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to get out your pen and paper and put on your thinking caps. It's time to do some learning. One thing about learning is that you can always do it, no matter how much you know. You can always learn. The Fahamme Rasool, founder of Fahamme, was Paul Nathaniel Johnson. Peace and the blessings of the Most High be with him. He proclaimed his prophethood in the year 1919. He was called the culture prophet. So I think it's fitting that I give you our definition of culture. Culture means to worship your own Most High God, your own saints, saviors, gods, and goddesses. Those that do not do this are devoid of culture. Painting, art, and dancing is not culture. And singing adds very little to it. Culture is education, informing, industry, and trade, as well as art. It is the science of government and power, and the knowledge of law and justice. It brings order out of chaos and makes a man fit to meet his God. Keeping that in mind, brothers and sisters, this thing is all about you. Welcome to the classroom. And understand that we are not here to placate on your emotions. There is a place for that on just about every corner in our neighborhood. If you came here tonight for temporary, pleasurable moments and for theatrics, then you come to the wrong place. This is a classroom. Now, if you get satisfaction out of serious efforts in advancing or elevating yourself and your people to a higher level of benefit, then you come to the right place.
If you study the history of the rise of the Western or Nordic culture, you will find that in the beginning of their rise, up through the period of about 50 to maybe 100 years ago, advancement of their race was their focus, not the individual. Advancement of the race was the focus. Albeit, that rise was at the expense of other nations and the rights and property of those other nations. And so we learn that helping one another to achieve common goals is the key to our racial or national success. As I continue with this lecture, I would ask you to ponder some of the following thoughts. What is attraction? What is the law of attraction? What is a thought? What is thinking? What is constructive thinking? If I'm going too fast, you're trying to write it down, stop me, I'll back up. What is creative thinking? What is a faculty? How are faculties used? How many things to ponder was that? Just draw a number, doesn't matter. 5, 6, 7?
8.
8, okay. So let's see if we're going to cover all 8 of those. If we don't, make me go back. Fahamme science teaches that man has 144 faculties, of which only a few are partially developed, or they are under development. The ones that we are particularly familiar with are those of sight, sound, smell, taste, feel, intuition, discernment, precognition, and a couple of others. Anybody don't know what the ones I named off on? You don't know what they mean? Sight, sound, smell, taste, intuition, precognition.
Could you explain precognition a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Precognition?
Precognition is to know a truth in its entirety before, or you can know an event in its entirety before it begins to unfold.
Almost like premonition.
Premonition doesn't rise to the level of precognition. Premonition is more on the order of glimpse of inspiration. Some further questions I would ask you to ponder are, what is the conscious? We all think we have one, we all say we have one, we all advocate we have one, or we all believe we have one. What is it? What is consciousness? What is the subconscious? Does the mind direct the conscience, or does the conscious direct the mind? What is power? How is power developed, exercised, controlled, and the like? And finally, how many kinds of power are there? A failure to be able to answer these questions in our own cultural context has brought us to the point where we need to seriously address the miseducating of our people in America and elsewhere in the world.